Guff and I seem to have our meeting spot all to ourselves now. The two little friends he used to play with had abandoned their routine of coming here, having been intimidated by me. My ship was just beginning to descend when Eros spotted Guff, with his usual grin, buzzing in our direction. When we reached each other 60 feet above the ground, I opened the window to let him land on board. Guff dropped himself into Eros's arms, panting for breath.
Did you see how high that was? I'm starting to fly so good now. Hey Syss, where are we going now?
Eros found a cave not far from the Nidalee beach, I said, steering the ship around and sealing the window back shut. We've modified it into our home base, nicely secured. Guff pressed his hands against the window.
What? I want to see.
You will. I'm taking you there right now. I need to talk to you, alright?
Okay, I can talk. Is it about the Vadras? You went to talk to them yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, but what happened after that is what I'm most concerned about, and you deserve to know about it. Guff looked back to me in curious worry, his eyes still big and round, but his smile absent. It looked as though he was reading more than just my expression. I'll make it quick, I added. Your son came up hours ago, but I don't think the cave has the proper light you need. We will keep track of the time. Guff's smile reappeared in a half-hearted form, and he nodded. Slowly and carefully, I brought the ship inside the cave we had chosen to remodel into an advanced shelter. Eros and I used our amazing Erkin technology to effortlessly make it look far from an ordinary cave. No rocks or dirt, only gorgeous tubular walls, plush furniture, computers, and a drink machine. And as I expected, Guff was amazed. He flew as he explored the cave, seeming tempted to touch everything, but his hands were too busy covering his mouth to block any loud squeals he knew I wouldn't like. After his own little tour, he did another airborne flip right before dropping himself on the couch on his back, giggling. For some odd reason I couldn't understand, I felt almost crestfallen by the idea that this would be the final time I heard his laughter. Sighing, I sat down next to the child and leaned all the way back. Guff sat up straight, his smile faltering again. After a relaxing moment of quiet, I told him what he needed to know, staring ahead. This is an invasion now, Guff. I didn't hear any noise from the little one. No gasp of surprise, no fearful whimper, only silence. In my peripheral vision, he didn't move either. My leaders were losing their patience. I continued to explain. So now I have to take Permata by force. Still, Guff didn't reply right away. Eros, who had been away checking our security system, walked over to us. He looked at me, then at Guff, who eventually shrugged.
Well, that makes it a whole lot easier,
said the Permatian child. I quickly sat up, blinking at him in shock. Pardon? Guff shrugged again, responding matter-of-factly.
I kind of knew this would happen. My dad was very serious about not letting Permata be involved with Erkins. Don't worry, you can do it. It's just like what you were doing before, but now you can do whatever you want.
Guff, I don't believe this. You're not upset?
I know you won't hurt us. It's just discipline. Just like when my mama and dad yell at me to go home and stop acting like a shard.
I squinted one eye.
Like a diamond that isn't whole.
Guff explained with little hand gestures, noticing my confusion. He then began to fidget, looking down.
They think I'm dysfunctional. They feel sorry about it.
You've never struck me as defective, Guff, I said. I think they are mistaken. Guff locked his hands together, looking up at me bashfully.
Can I call you sister?
No, please, I muttered immediately. Guff laughed, throwing his hands in the air, which propelled him backwards, and he fell back down on his couch cushion, kicking his legs in a circular motion. I suppose you're right. This is not that much different from what I was doing first, I said, looking back ahead thoughtfully. It's only deemed an invasion now because we're on bad terms, and I have to assert my dominance rather than ask politely. I hope you realize what a dangerous universe it is that we live in, Guff. We want as many of us as possible to come together as one to fend off the threats. I hope that in time your people will soon give in and realize they are better off under our rule. Guff sat back up.
I know it's dangerous, and I'm ready to make it not dangerous.
You need to be ready for what that's going to take, I told him, looking him in the eye. I don't know what will happen here. I have a bad feeling.
I know.
Guff said in sympathy.
I feel it in you. It'll be okay, Syss.
I glared. What do you mean you feel it in me?
I can see you don't want anything bad to happen. You want to be careful with us. I saw that you weren't lying when you said you don't want anyone harmed.
I still don't understand this function. Do you read my thoughts somehow?
No, not your thoughts, just feelings. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how to explain, and nobody believes me.
You aren't glowing. Isn't there supposed to be a glow when you are doing this?
I don't know, but I'm feeling stuff already. Maybe I am a shard, but not a bad one.
Perhaps you're confusing this for a power, like your mother said. You simply trust me a lot, and you believe what you think of me is the truth.
No, I think I know what I'm talking about. I really feel you, Syss.
I shrank away from the apparently psychic creature. Oh yeah. What else do you feel in me? Guff grinned and lovingly twisted from side to side, breaking eye contact.
That you're starting to like me a little?
I bobbed my head back and rolled my eyes. I'm American enough to admit that, yes. But don't get too comfortable, little one. You are my ward. Not my brother, not my friend. Guff brought a hand to his chin and alerted.
Oh, oops. Syss, you lied. Just a little bit without meaning to. Only the friends part.
I scoffed and narrowed my eyes. Don't go abusing that little power of yours, you arrogant thing. You're not supposed to be telling me things about me. You're supposed to be telling me about your planet.
Like the Pearlies? I think I told you about them, right? Do you want to see them? I can't come with you. I can't swim.
Guff gasped and began to bounce in place.
Oh, but can your ship swim?
I held my breath for a moment. No, but that's something to think about. Great idea, Guff.
The Orcos don't live in the water, though. They live on land on the bottom of Permata.
Are they diamond or light creatures like you, the Niddlies and the Pearlies? I mean, do they use the same energy?
I don't know, but there's supposed to be more diamond mountains down there.
Really now? Are they different from the ones here? Guff shrugged again. Shall we find out? I asked him, standing up. We will save the Pearlies for next time. Guff emitted a squeal, but it was cut short by his own moan of disappointment.
Yeah! Aw, but your couch.
He nestled into the cushions.
Just another minute, please.
Very well. If things go bad later, you might as well enjoy yourself while you can. Just don't go falling asleep on there.
I can stay awake. I can be Irkin. And Irkins stay awake forever, right?
I scoffed again, pinching my forehead. We began to head south. I grew wary of how the ground looked miles below when we reached an area where it was no other color than white. I looked around for signs of life.
All done!
Guff suddenly exclaimed, startling me, and for once, Eros. The little Permatian threw his empty cup aside, and droplets scattered on my ship's window, much to my annoyance.
I think Crispicine Minimum is my favorite soda, too.
You just said you never had soda, I said. So it's too early to be naming favorites. That was the only one I let you have.
That's why it's my favorite right now.
Guff, you didn't tell me the ground was... What's going on down there?
I don't know. I want to go see it.
Let's... I steered the ship downward. I had us descend slower as we neared the oddly colored surface below. When we found that the ship's landing was normal, I clapped my hands once in satisfaction and opened the window. I hesitated to leap down when I saw that the feet of the ship had dented the sparkling white floor. I pointed at it, severely confused, and starting to wonder if this was the result of some sort of accident. Eros, investigate this. What is it? Eros saluted and sprang out of the ship, landing feet first into the questionable substance. He left little footprints as he walked around, scanning it and touching it. After giving it a thorough enough look, he said, letting a handful of it rain from his claw.
Nothing hazardous, sir. Merely flecks of frozen water.
That's why it felt to be almost as cold as outer space here. It didn't surprise me. Permata's star appeared smaller from here. Frozen what? I scratched my chin, then dropped down to take my first steps upon what I realized was something I was already told of as a smeat. I knelt down to touch it with my fingers, chortling at myself. Why, this is snow. And ice. I heard a few wing beats from Guff before his body plummeted into the snow belly first next to my feet.
It's too fluffy to be water.
He coughed. He shuddered as he sat back up. His hands tried to sweep off the microscopic ice crystals that were clinging to him.
Wow, this is cold! Wow. Wow! Gosh, this is cold. This is so cold.
Unidentified life forms ahead.
Eros reported. I sprang upright. Surely not more Vatras, because those were now identified. I followed Eros's gaze to see a pack of strange little creatures staring back at us with shiny black eyes. Most of them appeared to be the size of Guff, but they were no Permatians. Bean-shaped black and orange torsos, no wings, tiny ears, tiny black button noses with 3 black whiskers on each side, flat orange webbed feet, and arms that were flattened like flippers, but still had paws on the ends. Tiny horns almost like Guff's, though these horns were brown. Black and orange creatures that live on the bottom of Permata. That was familiar. I pointed. Guff, tell me, are those the
The Argos, yep.
Guff confirmed. I cleared my throat and looked at the rodent-like snow creatures seriously. Orgos, Permata is unfortunately in danger, and there's nothing I can do but urge you to prepare yourselves. I can help you with that. Are your shelter units underground? I was met with no verbal response from the Orgos. One of them twitched its whiskers, and another tilted its head.
I don't think they have those.
Guff commented. I swung my arms open. It's a wasteland out here! How do you live like this, with nothing here? You're all sitting quooklers! The left side of my head was assaulted by something that had burst into flakes on impact. I flinched, but quickly recovered from the surprise, shaking off the snow and looking at the Orgo responsible. It stood there, looking at me with no shame in its expression. I bared my teeth and quickly snatched a cluster of snow from the pile formed by the ship, and I hurled it at the Orgo that dared to mock me. My aim was perfect as the little rodent thing was knocked off its feet, collapsing backwards with a squeak. My ball of snow was so large that it had buried the Orgo almost entirely, only its feet and paws exposed. The other Orgos cheered and bounced in place. I turned back to them with my head high. That's more like it. That's right, you're right to praise me. I am your future I was cut off by yet another puffy blow to the head, resulting in another splash of white and another flash of anger from me. Another snowball, this time coming from the other side of me. I snarled in that very direction, then blinked my eyes wide in betrayal. Hey! Guff, how could you? You little brat, that's mutiny! The little airborne Permatian giggled with another ball of snow already cradled in his hands. He squinted one eye at my reaction.
Huh? Mutiny? What is that? I just thought this looked fun.
I echoed his confusion. Fun? Engaging in combat? Guff wiggled his feet, grinning hugely.
Come on, try and hit me!
That was what was going on. That was why the Orgos responded with joy when I threw my snowball. It was only a stupid, silly game. It seemed like an appropriate level of training for Guff's age. I smirked playfully and proudly. What a surprise this is. Eros, this tiny goblin child is challenging me to a battle using wads of frozen water. Would you excuse us?
Yes, sir.
Eros answered. as I knelt down to gather my second handful of snow, biting my lip in preparation. I stood back up, glaring and smiling at Guff as a warning. Well, my little soldier. Think fast! I hurled my snowball at the flying little goblin, who shrieked and zipped away at the last centisecond, the snow grazing his foot. He retaliated with his own throw, which I didn't need to dodge. He was much too excited to focus on his aim. He flew down momentarily to gather up more frozen ammunition, then, with explosive laughter, dashed away at the sight of me lunging in his direction. I chased him around my ship, then past the pack of Orgos, who were taking delight in the battle. Guff and I spent the next dozen minutes pelting snow at each other. Guff flew to evade me, even while running out of breath and energy. He had managed to hit me 5 times, and I had hit him 12 times. I would win for sure. But of course, not even losing a fight would bring down Guff's spirits. We were several meters away from a mountain now. Guff scanned it from bottom to top, then began to fly uphill, snickering devilishly. I followed suit using my pack legs. What do you think you're doing? I'm not through with you.
I'm not through with you either.
Guff called down to me. You can't abort the fight that you started. Come back here now. Guff found a ledge to rest upon, but I would not wait for him to be ready. There were no timeouts in combat, and he had to learn that. I continued to climb, several snowballs ready in hand, but I dropped them and froze in place when I heard the ledge above me crack. The ledge that was 3 times my size. The ledge Guff was now peeking down at me from. Despite the alarming noise, he smiled bigger. It was when he raised a foot when I understood his plan. Guff. I felt my eyes widen, and I tensed. Guff levitated himself, then, with his whole body weight, with all of his strength, he violently stomped at the chunk of mountain below him. The ledge broke free and was sent plummeting towards me. My pack leg slipped from the cursed ice when I tried frantically to move out of the way. With this, I failed to avoid Guff's secret weapon, and it crashed into me, sending me tumbling down the mountain with it. It broke into more fragments on the way down. I struggled to catch myself on anything I could reach. I could barely see, with Permata's sky and floor repeatedly blurring and whirling past my eyes, as well as flurries of Permata's snow. In a matter of seconds, I was forced back down to the bottom of the mountain, buried in a small avalanche of snow and rock. I accepted this as a fair defeat. Though my face had little room to breathe under this pile, I lay still to show the young one that I surrendered, and let him take pride in his victory, as I thought he deserved. I heard his wing beats approaching, but with no laughter or boasting.
Oh no. Oh no. I didn't mean... Syss? Yeah. Heroes, help! I think I killed Syss!
I'd never heard such terror in Guff's voice, not even when we encountered the Vajras together. Sunlight beamed into my vision as he shoved away the snow and mountain chunks pressing into my face. I spat and coughed immediately, half on purpose to ease the child's nerves.
Oh, you're alive!
Guff exclaimed in relief, teary-eyed. I raised a brow at him and offered a smile. Sensitive little thing all of a sudden. Guff resumed helping me out of his mess, his voice breaking.
Syss, I'm sorry.
I broke free out of the debris, sitting up and shaking myself off. It was then I noticed my upper right pack leg was amputated by the first joint. I looked around and quickly found the rest of it lying lifelessly not far from us. I stared at it in amazement. Guff, my God, how impressive. The instant I was about to withdraw the other pack legs, an eerie, heavy, distant rumble reached my hearing. When it intensified by volume and vibration, I realized it was coming from above, and I looked up. It was a much larger avalanche, cascading down from the entire mountain, starting from the top half. We would be in deadly trouble if it reached the bottom half with us still here.
Oopsie.
Guff squeaked. I lunged to grab him in both arms, then took a leaping start with my 3 undamaged pack legs. I ran for our lives, trying not to look back all the while. With Guff's chin over my shoulder, I heard him marveling at the layers of snow and mountain crashing down behind us. I ascended a hill, a ledge that I remembered us playing by. I was confident that it was high enough above the avalanche's level. From a snow-covered boulder I pushed off without knowing it was loose. I slipped and very nearly fell, but my 3 pack legs saved us, and I was able to recover. The avalanche blasted past us. We watched it from a yard above. I anxiously looked toward the spot where Eros, the ship, and the Orgos were. I didn't know if it was a safe spot to be in anymore. The ship was gone. Eros must have had it. I looked around the sky, but no ship yet. The avalanche lasted for nearly 2 minutes before it finally slowed to a safe, quiet stop.
Syss?
Guff's voice tickled my neck. I was still holding him as tightly as when I was running. I set him down. He was staring at the pack leg that was severed. I still had all of them out. I retracted them.
That doesn't hurt?
Guff inquired. No, I assured.
We lost that thing. Can you fix it?
Yes. Well, it fixes itself. It will regenerate later.
Oh? So it's not broken forever, right? I didn't mean to break your back thing.
Guff, this is the incorrect response to a win. You've beaten your competitor, who is Erkin. Guff's hands touched fingers as he looked away in shame.
But...
You regret it, I observed. I wonder what damage you could do if you ever do mean to hurt your opponent. Guff shook his head.
I don't want to think about that.
Why did you think I was dead? Wouldn't you be able to tell with that sense you told me about just earlier?
You weren't moving and I couldn't feel you anymore. It's only harder when there's too much stuff in the way, like all that snow and stuff on top of you. Yeah, or if I'm too far away. But I can handle all that much better when I get my glow. I know I can.
His power had not ripened enough to overlook barriers. The one over me was thick enough to block his connection. Come on, my little soldier. Let's see if... I trailed off when I saw my own ship flying towards us after coming from around a blind spot. When I stepped out in the open, it landed not far. I saw Eros inside, as I expected. After sliding open the window, he hopped out and approached us in a jog.
Sir, are you all right?
He asked, on alert. Missing pack leg, a bit humiliated, nothing more. I replied with a humorous smile.
You found it.
Eros then said, looking up at the mountain behind us. I turned around, as did Guff. We both gasped in unison. The 1 million tons of snow and crust that had chased after us revealed a wall of gleaming pink diamond. Gradually, it began to glow, possibly reacting to the sunlight that was still peeking from across the horizon. I didn't doubt that this was a diamond mountain, and I suspected that it would very soon glow as brightly as the ones that shined warmly upon Guff's home. Guff flew in circles around Eros and I, singing and chanting loudly.
Woo! We found one! We found one! We found one! We found one!
Orgos gathered around us in wonder, squeaking and exchanging glances. Their fur coats were flaked with snow. I wondered if they got caught in the avalanche. If they did, they didn't seem very fazed. Perhaps they were fantastic diggers. With a thoughtful glare, I watched the massive diamond seemingly wake up from its slumber. Guff, I said, catching the flying little child by the foot. Guff turned his attention to me, biting his tongue in excitement. While releasing him, I asked, "What do you think your father would do if I talked to him again?" Without giving me an answer, Guff giggled nervously.
Uh-oh, Syss.